right?
Yes.
Okay. Here we go. All right. So let's see. The date of today is, you probably know.
February 15th, 2025.
Right. The day after Valentine's. So please tell us and spell your full name. Well, it doesn't have to be your middle name, just first name.
Okay. Laine, Laine, Floan, F like Frank, Loan.
All right. And do I have permission to record this interview?
Yes.
Good. Now, let's start out with your name. That's a really cool name. Now, how did you get that name? Besides your parents.
Yeah.
How did
And actually,
they decide?
it's my middle name. My real name is Linda Laine, but I've always been Laine.
Yeah.
I don't know where they got the name, honestly.
Really?
Yeah.
And Floan, is that sort of is that a name from Europe or something?
It's Norwegian.
Okay.
It was originally, it was Flaaan or something like that is what I was told.
Mm-hmm. And your parents then, did they come, where did your parents move here from?
They came from Wyoming.
Okay.
They were both graduates. They grew up in Wyoming, and my dad Montana and my mom Wyoming, and they met at University of Wyoming.
Okay.
Which is where they graduated.
Mm-hmm. And when did they move? When do you think they moved down?
They moved here in the 40s. I'm
Okay.
not sure. I think middle, I'm guessing. And it turns out my mother was the one who got them out here. She must have been hired as a librarian because she was a librarian. And my dad was an accountant. And they came out, and my dad was in the service at that time. He was in World War II. So that would be the early 40s in Wounded, I think. So
they met each other. They married up there. Or
they were married in Wyoming, yes.
And then when they moved here, did they buy a house or did they build a house or what? Did they find a house?
Well, by the time I came along in 1953, they did own a house,
Okay.
and I don't know.
Palm Springs, right?
Yes, in Palm Springs, yes.
Okay, and you are the oldest, or
I'm the youngest.
you're the
I have one sister who's 2 years older than me, Tracy.
Okay, she also lives here in the desert.
She does. She lives in the second home that we lived in. We moved in there in 1961 in Palm Springs on South Riverside.
Yeah.
And she still lives in it.
Yeah. What's it like for you to go back to that house? Do you have memories? Do you think?
Oh,
about
so
it?
many memories, because we did our biggest part of our growing up there. But it's kind of funny too that the house that we used to live in, we know who owns it. It's one of my niece's friends who, and her parents were the Fosters, who were very prominent in Palm Springs, her grandparents, I mean. And so it's just kind of funny that we moved in like 61 and that we know somebody who lived in the house that we lived in before. So
Yeah, how ironic. You went to high school?
Palm Springs High, class of 70.
Yeah.
And before that, we went to Kauai School, which was very near where we lived, and we'd ride our bikes there. And
Is Kauai School the middle school? Is that?
no, it's elementary school.
Oh,
We
okay,
did kindergarten all the way, through 6th grade, and then we went to Nellie Kaufman Junior High,
I see.
and then to Palm Springs High.
Back in those days, the junior high was what, 7, 8, and 9? Is that what?
Just 7 and 8.
7 and 8. Then
Yeah.
you went to high
Palm
school.
Springs High was 9 through 12 at that point in time.
How many people do you think were in your graduating class, your senior graduating class?
Ooh.
100? 500?
I'd say a couple hundred.
Okay.
Could be wrong. It was pretty good size, so I'm
Okay.
thinking a couple hundred. It could have been more. Not really sure.
So you
So
said that you're still in touch with many of the people.
we are. That we went all the way through elementary school.
Yeah?
That we really. It's a great thing. We've met a lot of people since then too. But yes, we have several friends that have been our friends for most of our lives.
Yeah.
Our moms were friends and stuff too, and our families would all do stuff together.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that we would do out here, especially in the summertime, is we would go up to Whitewater. It used to be a fish hatchery back in Whitewater Canyon, and we'd go fishing, and they had places, and you could have a barbecue up there. And so lots of families would go up there, and we'd have lots of fun do's up up in Whitewater, and it was always a little bit cooler too in the summertime. I think my dad was the accountant for the people who owned the Whitewater Fish Hatchery.
Oh, right. So in other words, there'd be a family outing, and you'd go to that you'd set up your little camp, and
Yeah, they had little cabins, and
Yeah.
then they had also outdoor barbecues, and we'd get 2 or 3 families, and we'd all be out there fishing, and they were stocked ponds, and you'd get trout, and it was really pretty because you're in a canyon with the deep walls on both sides, and it's part of the nature preserve now.
Yeah.
And I haven't been out there in years. I don't know if they probably still have the big ponds. They had 2 big ponds out there. And we did that with so many of the families. It was just kind of a family fun weekend. We didn't spend the weekend there. We'd just go up, fish, eat, and come home.
What would you eat, for example? Like
trout. And then,
the trout. Okay.
Yeah, because we would catch, the dads would be barbecuing the trouts for us, and then the moms had brought up potato salad or coleslaw or whatever.
I'm hungry.
It was a fun thing.
Absolutely. Who else? Do you have other members of your family besides your sister here in the desert?
No, it's just my sister and I, and we have extended family. Some of our friends that we had met through school, and they maybe had lost their moms or something, and they would kind of become part of our family. One of those is my friend Judy, who lives up in Yucca Valley now, and we're still very close. And otherwise, my mom had no siblings, but my mother's mother lived with us growing up. So Graham was part of our family until she passed in 78. But we had cousins, we had an uncle. My dad had 3 brothers and 1 sister, and one of them lived in Fullerton. So we were pretty close to them. We do Thanksgiving one year at our house, Thanksgiving at theirs. And they had 2 daughters that were similarly aged to Tracy and I. So it was always fun. We do a little bit of stuff after that, but mostly we would just see each other once or twice a year.
Did you do Girl Scouts or anything?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah?
We went to the little scout house that was over on Caballeros. I think it's still there. And yeah, we were active in Brownies, Girl Scouts, the whole thing. I mean, we didn't get into the older Girl Scouts.
Yeah.
We probably stopped after elementary school, but, and everybody, all of our girlfriends did that too, so.
Did they have, was it more of a 4-H, or was it more, more animals, or was it more?
Not animals.
So it was sewing. What kind of things did you do in the Girl Scouts?
Well, good question. We had to get the badges. We had sashes that we would.
You had to do deeds or something.
Yeah.
Good deeds.
And I just really don't remember that well.
Okay. It's okay. No problem. So your occupation ended up being escrow officer. Is that what you call it? Okay.
Yep.
And how did you get into that?
Well, I always thought I wanted to be a librarian like my mother, because she had been in charge of all the libraries in the city of Palm Springs. And I grew up in the libraries, and I really thought that's what I wanted to do. But once I finished college, it was a junior college in Costa Mesa, Orange Coast. And I had taken secretarial science, which I had taken that stuff in high school too. So I could type, take shorthand and all that, look in the paper. And I was living in Costa Mesa there. I lived in, the only time I haven't lived in Palm Springs was the 7 years when I started my career in college. And I answered an ad in the paper. It said, escrow secretary trainee. No idea what the heck that was, but I could type. And I went to work for a mortgage banker, and they had a escrow department in Santa Ana, was not very far from my home. And
so you didn't start out with that in the desert.
I started it up down there. So that was March of 1973. And I had graduated Orange Coast, I think in January of 73. And
great.
It was just a good fit. And so from there I worked at one other place, Walker and Lee's escrow company down in, it was all the way over in Anaheim, but that was neat because one of the offices that I worked in, we overlooked Disneyland, and we were total Disneyland nuts. That would be where we'd want to go on all of our birthdays, was Disneyland. And so I could look out the window in my boss's office, could see the monorail go by, and there's the Matterhorn. That was too neat. And I stayed there until 1977, and I decided I wanted to come back to the desert.
Right. Well, let me ask you about Disneyland then. How many times do you think you went during that period? You didn't need to go, maybe, or you didn't?
We probably went more times when we were kids.
Right.
Because all of our birthdays, that's where we'd go, and we'd say, my mom and dad would take us. We usually got to stay at the Disneyland Hotel.
Oh.
Yeah, that was nice. Take the monorail over, and they could do their thing, and we could do ours. And we went a few times a year. And then as our family grew, my sister had one daughter, Jennifer, and as Jennifer had kids, or when Jennifer was a kid, we would go up there quite often. We didn't stay at the Disneyland Hotel at that point in time. We stayed at the motels across Harbor Boulevard,
Right.
but they were still pricey weekends. And
Yeah.
and then when Jen started having kids, we'd do the whole thing. It would be just so much fun, and because she had 4 kids, so it was always a treat. We'd go once a year, like in January or something, when it wasn't so crowded and all. And
you'd go on a weekday or weekend?
well, weekend, because everybody was working and stuff. Yeah. So
well, do you remember any particular ride that you?
we just loved everything there. You
Yeah.
know, we loved the Matterhorn and
Did you
Big
get
Thunder.
Did you get ears? Did you get this Mickey Mouse ears?
oh yeah, I still have some hanging in my room at home. Don't use them too often though.
Yeah. Talking about the community now. So what you were in Palm Springs till you graduated. So do you remember any events that happened down there? Like we'll talk about Palm Springs right now before we move on to Palm Desert. So what kind of events do you remember that?
Well, the biggest one, and I actually had talked to my sister before doing this too, and we both came up with the same thing, the Desert Circus Week. And it was a big deal. And everybody would dress out in Western wear, and they had people go into bars, and people would, they would jokingly arrest them just to get money, and it was all going to some charity. I'm not sure which one. So, and then they had the big parade once on a Saturday morning. My dad had an office right on Palm Canyon, which is where the parade route was. So there was always a good sized party there. His friends would all come, and our friends, and growing up in Palm Springs, once we became teenagers, we did a lot of cruising. We'd go up Indian Avenue, down Palm Canyon, and check out who was there. That's what we do on the evening nights, or hang out downtown. So on Desert Circus Day, we would walk up and down Palm Canyon to see who was there, because the Palm Springs High Band was in, and my mom had ridden in it at one point in time on a horse. I think for the Legion, the American Legion, and maybe she was a flag bearer or something. And it was just a big deal. It's kind of like what I'm remembering about the Date Festival that's going on right now in Indio, is back in the day, the merchants that were nearby would dress in Arabian Nights clothes.
Yeah.
And I had forgotten that until I just heard it a couple of days ago, and I thought, oh my gosh, it's like the Desert Circus, because everybody was in their Western wear that they didn't typically wear. And
did you also dress in Western wear?
Oh no, that was a parent thing, yeah.
What kind of do you remember any kind of restaurants were along?
Oh yes, my dad's office used to be in a little place called the Sunshine Court, and right next to it, which is where a 76 gas station later became, there was a restaurant called the Saddle and Sirloin, and it was a nice kind of, it was like a steakhouse, and it was great. And then across the street from his office later on became Perina's, which was a delicious Italian restaurant. And some of the same places are still around, like Billy Reed's, and there's a lot that have come. Banducci's has been there forever too, and I don't know if it's still there or not, but there was lots of places to go and eat.
Well, speaking of Billy Reed's, could you describe how would you describe Billy Reed's? It's a pretty unique place.
Oh, that it is. Well, it does have good American food, and
American food meaning like meat and potatoes?
Yes, and plus they opened a breakfast, so they had wonderful breakfasts, all kinds of sandwiches for lunch, and then pretty much just your standard dinner stuff, chicken or maybe a steak. For that, you would probably go to the Saddle and Sirloin more than Billy Reed's. But their food was always good, and they're still there.
I know it. I wonder if they have the original owners. What do you think?
I doubt it, because
Yeah.
that would be a long gosh darn time ago.
Yeah.
So,
We talked a little bit about celebrities. You remember seeing celebrities?
oh my goodness, yes. Just being downtown doing whatever.
Uh-huh.
And you'd occasionally see Elvis driving down the street in one of his fancy cars, which was always exciting. And Frank Sinatra was around. My dad also was an accountant for Ruby's Dunes, which was a restaurant that Frank had like his own special seat that he could go right to, you know. And so my dad had met him several times too. I ended up meeting him later in life doing a notary at his house one time. That was kind of cool, yeah. And
Which house? Frank, you're talking about Frank Sinatra.
Frank Sinatra's house on Frank Sinatra, yeah, the big estate. That was pretty neat.
Yeah, funny.
One of my friends was Barbara Sinatra's personal assistant, and so
What was her name?
my friend was LaDonna Keaton,
Okay.
and she was one of my customers too. She was a real estate agent that worked in Palm Desert Greens in Palm Desert, and we became very close friends. And she was like a mom to me because my mom had passed away in '86, my dad in '80, and so you know I did notaries. That's one of the things escrow people do, and they needed a notary. So okay,
Notary would be someplace you could. It would be to call to their house.
Yes, which wasn't something we typically would do. It's more common now that they have mobile notaries that'll come to you. But heck, you know, Frank Sinatra wants you to come to his house. Okay.
Yeah, he's not.
And that was his estate. He had his office
Yeah.
was really something. You know, all the walls had gold records, Academy Awards, Emmys, you know, whatever, because he had won everything. And then there was a solid gold train set that went around the top of it. It was just it was something, and we kind of got to see most of the house too. So it was a lot of fun. And Mrs. Sinatra was really, really nice too, and he was very nice even. So he was behind his desk, and it's like, oh my gosh, I'm in Frank Sinatra's house and in his office. So
Talk about it years later too.
yeah, because it was pretty big stuff. So
yeah. Was that in a subdivision, or was just that a singular? I know
Frank's house?
Yeah.
It's on it's on Frank Sinatra. So he.
It's not
I think it is Tamara's.
Oh, okay.
I think.
Okay.
Yeah, and I don't remember if he looked at it because he would need his whole estate kind of blocked off, I would think, because, you know, with looky-loos and stuff. Because it was pretty blocked off on the Frank's, on the street side.
Yeah.
And, you know, you had to have a code, or, you know, there was passwords or whatever to get in and out of the gates. I don't think they had guards, just you had to just call from the front gate if you were there. It was pretty neat.
Yeah. Anybody else that you? Oh, Red Skelton.
Red Skelton, yes, and I actually ended up doing a couple of escrows for him over the years too, because
he was a property owner out here, I think, in Palm Desert.
Yes, and also up the hill, like in the Pinion area, they had a house or two up there too. And so after I had come back out here, and we got to do an escrow with him or two, and he came in the office, and I think we got to meet Chuck Connors one time. He came into. I think someone we knew brought him in just to impress us, which we were.
It worked.
It did work.
So the name of the company that you worked for was?
When I came out here, I came and I worked for Western Title, and then they got bought out by Fidelity National Title, and Fidelity is still around. And even though it's a title company, they always have an escrow department. And then from there, I went to General Escrow for a while, and from General Escrow, I went to Stewart Title, and then Foresight Escrow, and I was with Foresight for like 25 years. So
it's still there.
It's still there. Rob's the owner. Rob Lyman is the owner, and he's one of the best bosses ever.
Oh, well, great. He was a good boss from way back when too, when their salaries and everything weren't equivalent to maybe what they are today.
Exactly, and most of the escrow officers are women.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some men. Rob was an escrow officer too, and the guy who owned General Escrow, Doug Griffiths, he was an escrow officer also. But most all of his staff was girls, ladies. So they were wonderful, and we got paid well, and Rob was wonderful to work with.
That's good to know. What was the camaraderie like? You know, you had your own office, right?
Yeah, we were in a big office and we each had our own, not just a cubicle. No, I had an office with windows looking out.
Okay.
The secretaries would be on desks like right outside of the doors of the escrow officers. And it was a wonderful group of people who worked there. We all got along pretty darn well. And he had, and I think he still has around 30 people, which is a pretty gosh darn big escrow office. Yeah. And that's assistants.
Yeah.
And escrow officers.
You mentioned early on that the paperwork was a couple of pages, and then later on it was way more than a couple of pages.
Yes, the contracts when I got into it, they were 1 or 2 pages. And by the time I retired in 2019, they were 7 or 8 pages and like a whole bunch of addendums. Everything was carbonized paper by that time, and the agents just had so many forms to fill out, and that was all their thing, and we didn't need to see most of them. A lot of them were just to cover the broker and stuff, disclosures, many disclosures. So
How have the disclosures changed? Like they had, how has that changed?
Well, of course, with each and every lawsuit, it brings another piece of paper. It seems like to cover.
Asbestos? Did they have asbestos or not?
You know what? Those were things we didn't really care about, and so we didn't really focus on them. We just wanted what we needed, which was names, addresses, property, stuff, who's paying for what, and what the contingencies were, because that was pretty much just boilerplate for us.
Right.
It was nothing we had to incorporate in our escrow papers.
Was there some kind of unusual things happening about ownership of land here, or was it all pretty clear cut?
It's been pretty clear cut. I can't think of any weird stuff that's really happened. It's, there's always a few bad guys that try to, do stuff, but they get caught hopefully. And no, most of my stuff was fairly clear cut, and I ended up getting a specialty, and that was manufactured homes. Right. Which was a good niche to have out here, because a lot of the escrow officers don't want to do it because you have to transfer the mobile home like through DMV, which later became Housing and Community Development. They finally broke it off and made a special thing just for manufactured homes or mobile homes. And so a lot of the escrow officers just didn't do them. So it was a specialty. I took tests. I was a certified senior mobile home specialist. And I was proud of that.
What would you say is the definition of a manufactured home?
A home that was built at a different location and brought in. Okay. I would say that's probably pretty much it, because they're all pulled in on trailer type things. Yeah.
But it could be placed there permanently, even.
Yes. Okay. For financing and stuff, a lot of times the lenders do require to get like an FHA or VA loan or a long-term conventional loan. They'll want it to be permanently affixed, which means they go under the coach and do something. I don't know exactly what it is. Then they file a form with the county that shows it's on a permanent foundation. Then they don't have any more titles that have to be transferred on the mobile home. It's just like a house then. So a deed transfers everything. Where before that you had to transfer by a deed and then do the HCD paperwork too.
And some of that had real estate tax, and some of them had just purchase tax and also real estate tax?
Yes, depending on the year of the coach. If it was manufactured prior to 1980, they would be paying tags like we pay on our cars. Right. And they would pay property tax on, if it was a park that you owned the lot in, you would pay property taxes on that. And if you buy or sell, your property taxes would go up. And the license fees, they don't go up, but in order to stay on the tags, you have to pay a one-time sales tax when you buy the property. So we knew how to look them up in the Kelly Blue Book and do the values on them. And if a coach was manufactured after 1980, they didn't do the tags anymore. They were automatically included on the property. They got a property tax bill.
You told me that you specialized in Palm
Desert Greens Country Club. Yes, and that's my friend LaDonna was a broker over there, and it's a nice country club. It has golf, and the dues are not bad. They have a a guard gate with a guard. It's not just, numbers and you
Right.
get in. And I had a couple of rentals in there, and it was a good thing. I'd love to live in there. There's just so much to do. It's about 2,000 units, and
It doesn't look that big. It's amazing how big it.
yeah, because it goes all the way from Country Club back to Frank Sinatra.
Oh.
It does, and part of it goes all the way over to Portola, but not all of it, because there was a golf course. The Country Club, Santa Rosa Country Club, was on the corner of Frank Sinatra and Portola, but it's gone now. So.
Did they build on top of that now?
No, they haven't. It's been for sale. Santa Rosa closed, and there's still a couple of buildings there, and there's just a big sign. They're trying to sell it. It's been probably 10 years, I'm thinking.
Oh, so they leveled it and they thought they were going to sell it right away, but then.
Well, they didn't level it. They left the little clubhouse up,
Oh.
But they just let the greens go and stuff, and
Yeah.
it just looks like desert. So.
Yeah.
And not all places out here do you own the land. A lot of them are rental
Right.
parks.
But in this Palm Desert
Desert
they
Greens,
do.
you own the land, yes.
What is it like living in some place like that? What is that like? A mobile home park. What is that?
Well, and I've not ever lived there, but there's, and it's a 55 and older, so you don't have a lot of little kids. It's just, there's so much camaraderie and lots of
Yeah.
snowbirds. They were a big part of our business out here, and they wanted to get out and get playing golf or tennis or pickleball. They have a restaurant there,
Yeah.
and it was well run. So, and the houses all look nice, streets
Yeah.
well maintained, and it was just a fun place because there's just as much to do as you want to do. There's so
Right.
many different clubs, or just the regular, sports stuff, the golfing, the tennis, and all.
So you call that a mobile home park? Is that what you call
Well,
it?
it should be called a manufactured home
Okay,
community, but
Okay.
I still
just wanted to get the
spit out
verbiage.
mobile homes. We just don't use the word trailer because those are fighting words. No.
Okay, I know. How many manufactured home parks are there, you think, in the Coachella Valley?
Oh, there's a whole bunch.
Was
Lots and
there
lots.
50? 100?
Oh, I'd say, they're all, every city has several. And here, because some of them are just little small parks too,
Right.
So there could be between 50 and 100 throughout the valley
Wow,
too.
uh-huh.
Some are very small that maybe have, maybe 100 units, like we're Palm Desert Greens and Tri-Palm, which are the two places that I did the most stuff in. They both are close to 2,000, and they both have, golf courses and
Gee.
stuff. They're big, but
That is big.
there's all sorts of sizes of the mobile home or
Yeah.
manufactured home communities.
We talked about, we're going to kind of move on now to Palm Desert. So what was your grocery store down here?
Market Basket,
Yeah?
which is where Jensen's is now.
Yeah.
Market Basket was there forever. So, and they closed, and then Jensen's took it over, or
Yeah,
took
did you
the
know all
space over.
Did you know all the cashiers?
Knew several of them, yeah. And then later on, Ralph's came in, and there was a place called the Village Market too that was at the corner of San Pablo and 111. I think it's an Angel View store now, or was, and that was like one of the very first ones that they had here, and it was a smaller market, of course, because there wasn't a lot of people. This was before I came to live here, but Market Basket was just a regular size, and there was one in Palm Springs. It was a chain, so that was pretty much where we would do most of our shopping.
What about like hamburger places? Did they have a Dairy Queen? Or some other kind of...
Yeah, we had a Dairy Queen. I can't think where it was, but yes, there was some of those type of things. We loved it when John's Restaurant came into town, because that's right here on the highway, and it's been here for quite a while now too. I want to say 30 years, I think.
I also interviewed him. Yeah.
Oh, did you,
Yeah, he's a
George?
great guy. Yeah, he's right now. He's heading there's a Greek festival right now.
Oh,
He's
that's right,
heading a
this
Greek
weekend,
festival.
huh?
But no, he built that place. There wasn't a place before. He built that place, and then he started as a restaurant right from the beginning.
Yes,
right?
that's how I remember it. Yes, I don't remember what was
pretty
there
unusual
before.
to have a building like that.
Yeah, because it's a nice sized building,
I
and he's
know.
just been successful right from the get go. But you know, his food's good,
Yeah.
and the prices are good. And some of those people that work in there, some of the ladies behind the counter, they've been there for most of the time. You know, it's like, oh my gosh, so he must treat his employees well too.
Yes, you can tell that he does.
And he had or has one in Palm Springs too, a John's.
Oh.
And then they also, I think, owned the Town Center Cafe, which isn't there anymore, over across by Whole Foods. And it's now Breakfast Republic, I think.
Oh, on the corner, yeah. Okay.
But they owned that one, but it was called Town Center Cafe.
I see. Yeah, he gives to the community, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. What about, okay, the post office is still the one on Portola. Do you remember if there was another post office, or do you remember?
Well, not until now. You know, the one out on Hoveley is the main one now. But yes, that's the one we would all use, is the post office.
Portola.
Yeah, I had a P.O. box there for a while, and it's still open, isn't it?
Yeah, it's still open. They're talking about changing it, but so far, merging it, you know. Everybody's trying to merge right now, right? So what about, okay, would you ever go over the mountain? Did you ever go over 74, drive over 74?
Oh yeah, if we're going to San Diego, we still go up and over 74 to go there.
Has that changed at all, or it's just pretty much been the same?
It's pretty much the same. The road condition has gotten bad. You know, it's not in great shape right now, and then I guess, you know, there's a little bit of a brouhaha going about semis going up and down, because there was just an accident that was a fatality. It killed a 25-year-old guy.
Was he a truck driver?
He wasn't. He was driving up and a truck got him somehow.
Yeah, you can see how it could happen.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, but it hasn't changed very much by any means. It's the same. You know, we cut off and go through Anza and head on over.
Well, knowing that truck situation and the condition, do you still go over though? Right?
I haven't gone up there. Usually in the summer, like when we're heading to Del Mar to go to the races or to go to the beach or something, we'll go that way. And I haven't gone in a few months up there, so I don't know if it's as bad as what I hear on TV and stuff. But it'd probably be a good idea if they blocked off and didn't have the semis going up and down. And they said some of that so that they can avoid going to the scales out by Cabazon. That there's a reason that they do it to. Yeah. For whatever, I don't quite know what all that means, but
I know you see them lining up at the scales over there.
Yeah, and what they do, and I guess obviously they must weigh them, and what they're carrying and stuff. Yeah. And so if somebody's overweight,
and what are you gonna do?
It must be a penalty, right, or money owed. I'm assuming so. But
how have you seen the casino culture here? I mean, was there when you were growing up? Was there casinos and
nothing
when
like that?
When did you first see your first casino? Notice.
Oh gosh. Well, the Spa Hotel in Palm Springs, it was one of the first the Agua Calientes owned the spa, which was at the corner of Tahquitz and Indian. And they were the first ones who built their casino, I believe. And then they built the big one, the Agua and Rancho Mirage. And I don't really go to them too often because I probably would enjoy gambling too much. And we used to drive out to.
Did you go to the spa?
Oh yes, we used to love
to
take the waters. This was when we were older and we're grown up, but they had a thing where you could go and it was called Taking the Waters, and you get into there's a hot tub and like a sauna, and we could go out to the pool and you could have massages or facials or whatever. It was great, and it was reasonably priced too. And I want to go to see the new place, what they've done, because that's all gone and done. Have you been there?
I have. I haven't used any of the facilities, but I've been, but I do know the facilities are very expensive.
Yeah.
They're in the 200s now.
Yeah. Well,
anyway, but you would go, and I heard they had a gym in there. Do you know anything else? Did you ever eat in there, or you just went to the spa?
Pretty much we'd go to the spa.
Yeah, it had the mineral water, right?
Yes, the mineral waters, yes.
And what about the mineral waters? What was the advantage of having the mineral
water? I guess you're nourishing your skin and stuff as you're.
Did it feel good?
It did. It was wonderful. It was nice, and I think it was like maybe $100, and it was a whole day thing, and so, and not including getting you know,
Your
if you wanted
massage.
massage or facial or something like that. It was pretty neat.
Yeah.
When we wanted to gamble before the casinos all came, we would go to Laughlin. We used to do trips out to
Oh.
Laughlin quite a bit because that's closer than Vegas, and
Yeah.
you'd be on the river, and that was kind of neat. So that was a place. Now I haven't been to Laughlin in a long, long time
Yeah.
because they're all here, and I
Right.
pretty much only gamble when I go on a cruise or something, you know.
Yeah. When you went to Laughlin, did you did you go up by Amboy? Did you go that route? Or
No, we usually go 10.
Or you went to 15 or something?
Yeah. Yes.
So you feel that also, that's interesting, you feel that if you want to do anything like that, you do not need to go to Las Vegas anymore.
Yeah.
You may as well just be, and also the entertainment too, right?
Oh my gosh, yeah. Look at who they have coming. I mean,
Who do they have coming?
well, Rod Stewart's supposed to be here.
Yeah.
It's either at Acrisure or at Rancho Mirage Agua.
Yeah.
That's pretty neat. James Taylor's supposed to be here,
Yeah.
and Cyndi Lauper was just here, and
We have some good
Madonna.
entertainment here.
We really, really do.
And we have our own hockey.
I know, that's pretty neat. I got to
a
go
hockey
to it.
girl?
I like hockey. That's pretty much one of my favorite sports. I've only gotten to go a couple of times, but it was fun, you know.
Oh,
It was a lot of fun. Well, it was particularly nice because I went with some friends and they had access to a luxury suite. So,
That's nice.
Yeah.
What was that? What was that? Describe it.
well, you're up high, of course.
Yeah.
You know, and parking's kind of a weird thing out there.
Yeah.
You know, it's really expensive, and when you have paid whatever you pay to get one of these luxury suites, parking's included. So we just cruised right in, you know, and went right up there, and it's up
Yeah.
on the top floors, and you just have a fabulous view, and there's some TVs in there, and you know, place to sit.
Right.
It was not anything I had ever been to before. It was pretty neat, yeah.
Well, for those people that don't know, these are large rooms that are sponsored by various businesses, right? Is that what that?
I think so, and people have to actually buy into them, though.
Yeah.
And my friends,
Sometimes they give away, and sometimes they just
yeah,
bring their
she was related to someone who had
I see.
bought an interest in one of those.
I
So,
see. Did they have food in there?
I don't remember. I think they had to supply their own food, but there was a little kitchenette and stuff, and there was also a food area outside up on that same floor.
Yeah. Then they have Fantasy Springs too, where they have some good entertainment.
Oh, they have some good concerts there too. Yep.
Yeah.
We just saw.
Who'd you see? Diana Ross?
No, golly, tough being old and can't remember. Can't think of it. It'll come to me in a few minutes. It was a group. Toto.
okay.
It was Toto,
Oh.
and that was kind of fun. My friend got some tickets, so okay, that was fun. We got
That's
to go.
great. Did you have pretty good seats?
No, they were okay.
All right.
It was and I
That's
guess
the only thing in there. The first 220 seats are good, and then
yeah, we were just a little ways back, and it was
Right.
fine, you know, because they have the big screens,
Yeah.
which makes it so much easier. So
yeah. The acoustics are good in those places, really good.
mm-hmm.
They have a bowling alley in one of them, I heard.
Yeah, at Fantasy, I think they have a
Oh.
bowling
Have
alley.
you ever been to that?
I have. I was a bowler for quite a while.
Oh.
Made several friends there. We bowled through a good portion of the 90s, and we were on a league. Our league was out of Palm Springs at Palm Springs Lanes over at Ramon and Landau.
Is it still there?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been there since I was a kid. I mean,
Wow.
growing up, there was another bowling alley. It was downtown, I believe, but I don't barely remember it. And then
Yeah.
there was a bowling alley out at what used to be the Palm Springs Mall, which is gone now. You know, it's leveled because
Yeah.
that's going to be a COD thing. There was a bowling alley there too. Yeah, and so bowling, you know, an indoor sport because
Yeah.
it gets hot. So that was a
Yeah.
good thing. And then the Palm Springs Lanes has been opened a long time.
Mm-hmm. What is something about this? What is something about the desert living here that would surprise people? People don't realize about it.
Well, it is a very, very beautiful place, and it's not just hot, you know.
People just think it's beige or something.
Yeah, it's colorful, especially like right now, the mountains. Since we had rain and we got snow up on the mountains,
Yeah.
and you're looking over palm trees to the mountains with snow,
Yeah.
snow capped.
Birds.
Oh yeah, and all sorts of critters around here too, not just snakes and lizards, but
What
all
kind of
sorts of
critters?
stuff.
Coyotes.
Yeah, coyotes and oh my goodness. So
Bighorn?
yes, we don't really see too many of those. You have to get
Yeah.
up more towards the mountains for that. And there's just a lot of flora and fauna of different things.
How would you describe the people in general here in the desert? Just that you're walking down the street and you see somebody, is it fairly friendly?
Yeah, I think so. I think it is, and probably a bit of it's as friendly as you're friendly. You know,
That's
if
true.
if you have a smile on your face, you can get someone else to smile and say hi too.
Some of the people, original people in Palm Desert, when you first moved here, like the mayor or some kind of people, some kind of thing like that, where they would be more visible. Some people that were on the city council were more visible, or you know anybody?
Well, like Phyllis Jackson, and they have the
Okay.
street going into Palm Desert High that's named after her. She was a realtor here in town that had been here for a long time.
Why is she in particular, why did they name that street after her?
Because she was a mover and shaker in the city.
Oh, okay.
And Jean Benson was another lady who had been here, and she was on the council for quite a while. And working here at the Palm Desert Historical Society, I just happened to go back into our movie room where we have movies showing all sorts of different information about it. And there was showing a council meeting, and there she was, and it was like, oh my gosh. We also had a friend growing up, Rosemary Kite, and her dad was Dick Kite, and he was a realtor here in Palm Desert. I mean, when we were kids, so in the 50s and stuff. He's here at the Historical Society. There's a couple of pictures of him here. And even though they lived in Palm Springs, but he was out here for a long, long time.
Yeah.
And then his son actually became, you know, the mayor of Rancho Mirage, Richard Kite.
Oh. Now, you're a docent here at the Historic Society.
Yep.
How long have you been a docent here?
About a year. And it is so much fun. It's so fun to get to meet people and
Yeah.
and looking at the pictures and all the stuff that's here. It's amazing because I had not been in here. And I always had thought I would
Wow.
want to do something like this. I was thinking more of Palm Springs because of my first part, but I've lived 47 years here in Palm Desert. I've lived here longer than I did in Palm
That's
Springs.
interesting.
And it's just neat. Just there's
Yeah,
so much history here. And you do meet some nice people from all
Very.
over too.
Where do people come from that come visit here?
A whole bunch of Seattle,
Okay.
Washington, Oregon. I know when I was doing escrow, we would do a lot of escrows for snowbirds. So those are a lot of Canadians too, from BC, Alberta, Northern California even, and Idaho and Montana, and just
Do you see any people from from New York or anything like that, or usually not?
not a lot that have come in here. There's been some people who were here from Minnesota earlier in the week,
Okay.
and a couple people from the Midwest, but
Okay.
mostly it seems they gravitate straight down
Yeah.
from.
Funny. If somebody was thinking of moving here, saying, well, I might move to the desert, and could you mention what advice you would give them if they wanted to move here?
Well, be ready for it to be warm in the summer and get
How warm?
well, this last summer was horrible. And it was, 115 or for a good portion of the
And
summer last year.
What's your advice for when it gets hot for a long time period?
Just, well, you can get in the pool, you know, and cool off. Well, but your pool feels like bath water by that time too. Stay in your house. I got solar, so I just got it, and I'm curious to see how my electric bill comes out next year, because about 2 years ago I had an $800 electric bill for 1 month. It's just gross, because I got to have my house cool, and
That's true.
I just do. So
It can be dark till you bring down the shades, and you're kind of.
oh yeah, and yes, I would keep my house not with the drapes open or anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just try to keep cool and however you can. But then winter comes and it's just so beautiful here, and except for the traffic, because there's a lot of traffic right about now. It's like, oh my gosh. But then it does clear out a whole bunch this summer.
When does it clear out?
Well, I think a good portion of our visitors that come for the winter are pretty much done by April. I think March is, I'd say, probably the beginning of April, I think, is when most of the snowbirds go home, or a lot of them.
And you know, through your work, you've had such an interesting, chronology where you went to school and things sort of, you kind of gravitated toward things that worked for you. But what would you give young people now? Do you have any advice, like work advice or anything for young people coming up trying to figure out, what they want to do in life?
I really don't. I mean, I don't know what to say on that one because I just fell into the escrow thing just because I could type and do secretarial work and they just needed an escrow secretary.
Just keep going. Right?
Just keep going until you find something. And I was just lucky to hit it on the first go,
You were
know.
lucky. And how long did your occupation?
I was there 46 years in escrow. I started in 73 and ended in 2019 or 46.
Was that before the pandemic?
Yes, just before.
That you had no idea, when you...
Oh no, because I just was, getting your Social Security. So I waited till I was 66. So like 2 days after my 66th birthday, I retired. So I knew I couldn't make it till 70, where you get more money and stuff. I was done. Stick a fork in me. I'm done.
What was the transition from working to not working? What was that?
Well, it's pretty weird. It still is odd sometimes. Thank goodness I have this docent volunteer experience going on, and that's great because
it's nice to be useful.
It is. It definitely is. And I drive some of my friends to doctor appointments and stuff that are older and don't drive or they're not feeling well and stuff.
That especially for your friends, or is just people in need that you hear about, or
well, no, mostly these are my friends or friend of a friend. I have one of my good dear friends is going through cancer treatment in Loma Linda, so we go up there.
How often do you go?
Well, it's not as often now, but we were going a couple times a month, and for whatever it was she needed. And now we probably maybe go once a month, if that. And and she still likes to have me take her to some of her local doctor appointments too. I think it's a camaraderie thing because she lives alone too, and she was a controller at one of the country clubs, and she's retired quite a while ago, and she's older than I am, and just to be around people.
Yeah, absolutely.